Hello, family and friends. Welcome to Miss Christine's Yoga Studio. You can see Miss Chloe over there taking her, third or fourth nap of the day. And Miss Yogi's in the back, and she's ready to direct my presentation. Woo! All right. Today, I'm going to give you more information than you ever thought you ever needed on the reverse warrior pose, which I did a video on about a year ago. I'm going to try to attach this video to that video so that you can watch the demonstration and then listen to what I have to say. So let's get with it. The reverse warrior. I'm going to give you some modifications that you can utilize while you're building up your strength to do this pose. And the first one I'm going to mention is that when we're doing this pose, we often have a lot of pressure on our front leg, the leg that is bent. And to decrease that pressure and to add a little bit more stability to the pose, you can bring your feet closer together, and you could also lower your back knee to the floor like we do in a low lunge. Now, keep in mind, when you do these modifications, you are going to want to build up and challenge yourself a little bit more every time so you can build up to the pose without using modifications, and that way you will be able to reach the goal of gaining strength. So you might, for example, want to lift off that. You have your knee down to the floor, and then when you perform the pose the next time, lift your knee off the floor for, let's say the count of 5, or increase your distance between your feet maybe an inch or 2 each time. That way you're challenging yourself. Okay, the next thing you might think about modifying is what you do with your knee. Remember, your knee is directly over your ankle at a 90-degree angle. And it goes right over your ankle, not in front of your ankle, not in back of your ankle. But sometimes your knee's a little cranky. To decrease that, to help with that, straighten your leg and sink into your bent knee a little bit more every time you perform this pose. Also, your arms are over your head, and sometimes you have some shoulder or arm issues. Perfectly legal to bring your arms down in Anjali Mudra, prayer hands, or down to your sides. The only prop that I could really think of that you might want to use in this pose is a wall. Stand in front of the wall with your front leg, the one that's bent, with that toe against the wall to add stability as you do this pose. That way, if you're feeling kind of wobbly, you won't have any danger of falling down. There are 2 variations to this pose that I'm going to mention. They're very challenging, but I thought it would be good to mention them. The first one is the twisted warrior, reverse warrior pose. That is when you are in your warrior pose and you twist your torso, not anything lower than your hips, but just your torso towards your bent leg. That's called the twisted reverse warrior. Another variation is the bound reverse warrior. You have your back hand going down your back thigh, and you just wrap it around your back and try to reach that back hand to your bent thigh. Bound reverse warrior. So those are the 2 variations that you may see in the future. Benefits. All of the warrior series have about the same big benefits. They increase your mental strength. They increase your physical strength. They can decrease the amount of anxiety and stress in your life, and also give you some anger management tools. They build heat and strength, and they enhance the amount of power and determination you have in your life so that you can obtain goals outside of yoga. You have the stamina to do that practicing this pose. This pose in particular, though, the reverse warrior, it will strengthen your quads, it will strengthen your hips, your upper and lower back, your abs, and your shoulders. It will stretch those pesky hip flexors, your outer thighs, and your oblique abs. It also has some specific therapeutic benefits. The biggest one being your respiratory system. As you stretch open, you are opening up your intercostal muscles, your chest cavity, and you're allowing your lungs to have more room and more capacity to take in oxygen. So your respiratory system can really, really benefit from the reverse warrior pose. It also is very good for pregnant women in reducing their stress and anxiety level. For a lot of pregnant women go through a certain period of their pregnancies where they're very anxious, and this seems to help relieve that. This pose can also help with your spinal and hip joint flexibility. It can lower your blood pressure. It can lower your back pain and reduce your stress and anxiety level even if you're not pregnant. Another big benefit of this pose is that it opens up your throat and your heart chakra. So it allows you to feel let a lot more love into your heart, compassion, forgiveness, and seems to be beneficial in letting you self-express and communicate. We haven't talked about chakras before, but those are two chakras that are activated by the reverse warrior pose. Now, there are some tips, or not tips, but a checklist that you might want to go through when you do this pose. And number one is that bent knee needs to be at a 90-degree angle over your knee over your ankle. If you don't pay attention to that, you could be in a world of hurt with your knee. You want to make sure that your back foot the outer edge of your back foot is anchored into the floor. That helps with your stability. You want to keep your shoulders down, and you want to keep them over your hips. Remember, you're still going to be head over heart over pelvis. Even when you go into the back bend of a reverse warrior, you will go into the back bend with your head and your hips still aligned. You don't want to put any pressure. Your backhand is going down your thigh. You don't want to put any pressure from that hand on that thigh. Just let it relax and gently slide down your thigh. You want to make sure that your tailbone is directly in between your 2 feet. There are times when you need to kind of adjust that pelvis back and forth to make your stance a little more comfortable. But you still want to, your goal is to make sure that your tailbone is between those two. You want to activate your glutes. You want to make sure that they're all active. And you want to make sure you have dynamic tension through performing this whole pose. How do you do dynamic tension? You mindfully get into the pose. You mindfully set yourself up to doing the pose. You just don't think about grocery shopping and get into the pose. You lose dynamic tension that way. You mindfully will yourself and think about everything you're doing. And that way you will maintain dynamic tension. Contraindications. In your final stage of pregnancy, you probably shouldn't do this pose, as well as if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure. You shouldn't do anything if you have uncontrolled high blood pressure. You need to be in communication with your healthcare provider. If you have any injuries to your hips, your ankles, your knees, your back, your neck, any injuries, you need to resolve those before doing a reverse warrior. Also, if you have had any abdominal surgery or spinal surgery or leg surgery, heal first before you do your reverse warrior pose. So friends, do what you can with all that you have wherever you are. That is per Theodore Roosevelt. Namaste. Thank you for joining me today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.